Hello fans and friends across the universe. Welcome to my YouTube channel From Me to You. My name's Keir Smith. Now, all of us Beatles fans love the White Album, don't we? But tonight I'm asking the question, could it have been even better? For years, fans have bemoaned the inclusion of the song, or sound collage rather, that is Revolution 9 on the Beatles White Album. And it's a track that's found itself at the top of the list of worst Beatles songs on more than a few occasions. Now, as I'm sure many of you will know, Revolution 9 is the longest Beatles song, running at over 8 minutes 20 long, and it was inspired by John's new love for Yoko and his newfound love for the world of avant-garde. And it saw John indulging himself with various tape loops and sound effects. And it's been said that the other three Beatles and producer George Martin tried very hard to keep it from being on the White Album. But John was insistent, and so there it sits, rather uncomfortably between Cry Baby Cry and Good Night, two songs that I always thought would have sat rather nicely back to back. Some people think that Revolution 9 is absolute garbage, complete nonsense, and then there's some people who think it's rather interesting. And I suppose I sit with the latter. The White Album is one of my favourite albums ever, and me and my brother Liam always make a point of saying that when we play the White Album, we play it in its entirety, Revolution 9 included. We never skip it. Now, I love the White Album in all of its expansive glory for its vast repertoire of styles and songs, and I wouldn't want to change it, but having said that, I've always had this recurring thought. And so I'm asking any Beatles fan or White Album enthusiast that has a passing interest in this video, if Revolution 9 wasn't on the White Album, what would you replace it with? Due to the lengthy running time of Revolution 9, as I said, it's over 8 minutes 20 long, you could have 2 or 3 songs in its place. The Beatles had a wealth of material available at the time. A lot of songs were in circulation that either didn't get finished or didn't quite meet the required standard that it took to get on a Beatles album. And looking at the Escher Demos disc, the bonus disc that was included on the remixed White Album to celebrate its 50th anniversary, there's 3 songs on there that I would offer up to take place of Revolution 9. And because I'm nerdy about these things, I checked the running time of these 3 songs that I've chosen, and they add up to 8 minutes 6, so they wouldn't take up any more vinyl time, so they could sit nicely on the White Album, giving us a bumper 32-track White Album. So the first song that I would offer up is Not Guilty, and there's a nice acoustic demo of this on that Escher Demos disc. And this is a great track, and one that the Beatles worked tirelessly on, 102 takes in fact, but they could never get it quite right. Lyrically, it's an interesting song. As we know, the Beatles fell foul of Maharishi and his teachings, but George rejects that he is to blame for leading you astray on the road to Mandalay. Now, as I said, that acoustic Escher demo is nice, but I was listening to take 102 the other day, and that is the song, that is the sound that the Beatles were trying to achieve for Not Guilty. I really like the distorted guitar sound here. Nice use of the harpsichord too, jangling away in the background, and Ringo drums really well and plays some really cool fills. It's all a bit loose, and I like that, and so that's one song that I would have liked to have seen included on the White Album instead of Revolution 9. So the second song that I'd like to offer up for inclusion is What's the New Mary Jane? I do like this zany little number by John. The lyrics make me laugh. She liked to be married with Yeti, he grooving such cookie spaghetti. She jumping as Mexican bean to make that her body more thin. What a shame Mary Jane had a pain at the party. I really like all of that Jabberwocky speak that John does. It's so childlike and playful. It's hard for me to resist. But I do genuinely think that if the song had been fleshed out a little bit more musically, it could have been a short and sweet, quirky classic. Certainly it fits the anything goes let's try this spirit of the White Album. And the third and final song that I would offer up for inclusion is another song by George, Circles. And I read a good few interesting comments on YouTube the other day about Circles. A couple of people said that it sounded like it could be a Syd Barrett song. And one person pointed out that it sounded more like an early Pink Floyd single with Syd Barrett singing over Richard Wright's organ. And another person called it spooktacular. And certainly that Escher demo has a spooky feel to it with that harmonium droning away in the background. It's slow, it's sparse, and it has a meditative quality about it. And George takes the lines from Lao Shi, the Chinese philosopher, when he sings, "He who knows does not speak, he who speaks does not know." It may well be that Circles was rejected because we'd already got Long, Long, Long from George, and maybe the two songs are a little bit similar in style. But certainly Circles is a song that I've always liked, and I was pleased that it found its way onto George's Gontropo album, as I was with Not Guilty finding its way onto George Harrison's self-titled album. So they are the three songs that I would include on the Beatles White Album if I was feeling like a mean Mr. Mustard and giving poor old Revolution 9 the elbow. A couple of other songs that were in contention were Junk, which ended up on Paul's debut album McCartney, and another song that Paul wrote called Goodbye, which he ended up giving to Mary Hopkin, and it became a big hit for her. And again, as good as those songs are, maybe they didn't make the cut because we'd already got three acoustic beauties from Paul with I Will, Blackbird, and Mother Nature's Son. But I'm sticking with Not Guilty, What's the New Mary Jane, and Circles to make up that 32 track bumper White Album. But does that make the album even better? Are there three songs that you prefer to see more so? Or is it simply plain sacrilege to even suggest that poor old Revolution 9 should be removed from the White Album? Please leave your thoughts in the comments section below. I'd love to know what you think. Thanks as always for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Peace and love. See you next time.